Hi, I'm here with Anna. She is a film studies professor at East Carolina University, so I'm going to be asking her a couple questions about the movie today. So Anna, I wanted to start out. Love Actually. This has a great cast. Which was your favorite?
This does have a phenomenal cast. I would have to say Bill Nye's aging rocker is my favorite.
Yeah.
But they're all wonderful. I love
Yeah,
Keira Knightley, Colin Firth. It's a wonderful, wonderful cast.
Yeah, well good. I was just curious. So the director of this film, what other work has he done that people might be familiar with?
He's actually better known as a screenwriter.
Okay.
He did the screenplay for Four Weddings and a Funeral and for Notting Hill. I think the only movie he's made since this was the first movie he directed was Pirate Radio, and I haven't seen it, so I can only assume that it has something to do with East Carolina's student radio station.
Right.
maybe not. But he's done a lot of writing romantic comedies.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the first one
That's
he
interesting
directed.
that this is the first one. It was so good for it to be his first film. Wow. So what kind of movie would you describe this as? What kind of film?
This is a feel-good romantic comedy. I love this movie. Sometimes I have a hard time watching movies because I'm reading them as I watch them.
Right.
Job hazard. But I love this movie. You can get really lost in it. The wedding scene still gives me chills.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of the wedding scene, do you think the music from that was in any relation to the Beatles? Was it a tribute to them, or?
Well, it's by the Beatles, which is what I thought at first, but actually it's a tribute to Jim Henson from the Muppets. And when at his funeral, a lot of the puppeteers brought their puppets, and they ended up performing All You Need Is Love. And so this is sort of a tribute to Jim Henson and that as well. It's a
interesting.
great scene.
Yeah, at first you would automatically assume it was for the Beatles, but that's interesting.
It's like a flash orchestra.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of like the flash mobs we see a lot now.
So what should viewers be looking for in this movie? I know there's a lot about relationships, things getting in the way of them. What are some interesting things you found that you think students should be looking for as they watch this?
Well, what's fun to watch for is the way that the characters' lives interconnect. We've got characters that don't know each other, and their lives are continually interconnecting with each other. This also is a movie about how pain can coexist with love, and relationships not being something you just have, but something that you're always in the process of forming and reforming and breaking and repairing.
Yeah. That was a great way of describing it. I feel like it definitely has some depth that you can definitely look for as you're watching it that you wouldn't just automatically see. You kind of have to dig deep to understand them.
And not everybody gets what they want at the end. Not everybody, I mean, most people are happier, but not everyone.
Yeah, right. So what does this movie have to say about, speaking of relationships, the relation between the U.S. and Britain? What do you think?
There is a little bit of commentary on that, the special relationship. The opening is Hugh Grant's voiceover talking about 9/11. So this was made in the lead up to the Iraq War, and you have the sense that both countries are still in shock. Both countries are still in mourning.
Right.
And there is an American president played by Billy Bob Thornton, who is probably a composite of several negative characteristics of several presidents that we've had.
Oh, okay.
And he gets bested, and the lead up to the war is criticized. But it's also, I mean, it's also about the relationship. It's also how you can be in a relation, how countries are in relation with each other. And when one of them does something that people don't approve of, you don't just stop.
Right.
You keep working through it together.
So that's a great example. I know that you've taught in London, and you use this movie as kind of a reference for, like, what?
Just a way of seeing London. There are a lot of different ways. When we go to London for the study abroad trip, my class looks at horror London and zombie-filled London, and this is romantic comedy London. So you can look at different sites and how they're invested with different meanings depending on the genre.
Great. That's really interesting. So, speaking of British, can you resist the British accent?
Well, I've been married for about 8 years.
Yeah.
I think if I hadn't been, I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
It's a great accent.
It is. It really is. And there was a lot of that in this movie. It kind of, I don't know, made people kind of curious to the British. I know they have a way of...
It's lovely to listen to.
Yeah, it really is. So, do you think the cast had good chemistry? Is there anyone else you might have wanted to see instead of the characters that played these roles, or do you think it was right on?
The cast had great chemistry, and actually a lot of the same actors appear in the Harry Potter series. If there was anyone else I would like to see, it would be Simon Pegg from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
And I think he was actually considered for a role, but ended up not working out with his schedule. But he's hilarious. He would have been a good addition, but I don't think that they needed an addition.
Right. Good. So my last question for you is, what's an interesting fact, like a last thing students should know about this film? Just anything that comes to mind.
The last thing students should know about this film. Well, this film is honest about life is hard, work is hard, school is hard, relationships are hard, but it's such a wonderful getaway. I love this film, and it really does take you out of your world for just a few hours. It's, we go to see movies for a lot of different reasons, and this is a wonderful one to escape to.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much. You had a lot of great things,
Thanks
and
for
I know
having
everyone will enjoy watching it, and now they have some fun things to look for, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Here at the Boys and Girls Club, our mission is to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens.
I have heart disease. Heart disease, of course, is the #1 killer for both men and women in this country. The American Heart Association tries to raise awareness in every single one of us, so we have a great gift here. The American Heart Association is very important in all of our lives. It's important to our university, to our medical school, and to everybody's heart health.
Help raise awareness for heart disease by coming out to the Wilson Recreation Center on April 17th for our annual Heart Walk.